For ACUsports.com, I'm Grant Boone as we talk football with head coach Adam Dorrel. A bye week for the Wildcats after 2 consecutive victories. Coach, let's go back to Hammond, Louisiana. It's the longest road trip in terms of mileage that could be played in Southland Conference football. You went on the road and you get a 48-27 victory. A lot of heroes up and down that stat sheet, weren't there?
Oh, man, it was. I just was so proud of our team. I think, you were there. It wasn't the best atmosphere in college football. And, I told our guys before we went in, it's BYOE, bring your own energy.
Yeah, I like it.
And our guys were just excited, and you saw the passion on the sideline and the energy. And those games can be difficult, go on the road, and there's just not a lot there. But, man, I think our whole sideline, coaches, trainers, everybody was just really jacked up to compete. And I thought we competed at a really high level. And I thought we just had, guys play really well in all 3 phases.
To that point of energy, we discussed this a couple of weeks ago. You have had some very generous donors step up and provide the opportunity to fly to both the game at Lake Charles 3 weeks ago and the game last week. And Jim Reese on the radio broadcast, when I asked him in the postgame show at McNeese when you lost that close game to a number 9 team in the nation, I said, what does flying back versus busing mean? He said, I think as a player, it's worth 1 day of recovery. Well, what do? You go beat Nichols soundly, then you beat Southeastern on the road. You can't underestimate what it was to be able to travel like that, can you?
No, absolutely not. And, we're very thankful for the folks that have helped make that happen, because I can unequivocally tell you right now, I don't know where we'd be sitting right now if we would have drove to Lake Charles and then drove to Southeast Louisiana. You look at the Southland Conference, and don't quote me on this, but I think 70% of the time the home team is winning right now. At least that was last year. That's not – to me, that's probably more skewed than other conferences across the country. And to me, there's a direct correlation with travel. I think other coaches in our league would tell you that. So the fact that we've been able to do that, I think, is huge. Our players would tell you that. Like Jim said, it's on the back end where it really helps you. For coaches, what a lot of people don't understand is, like, you use getting home from Lake Charles, and, I think we got into bed by probably 3:30. Yep. We're up immediately next morning game planning, because Sunday is such a big game planning day. The players come in Sunday night. Monday we spend all day game planning. And so if you were to lose, a day because you don't have rest or sleep, and it's just challenging. And, man, it was great Sunday. I gave everybody Sunday off. It was great Sunday when I was with my wife and kids getting ready to watch the Chiefs game, and I'm like, we'd just be pulling into town right now.
That's true.
So it was very exciting.
Huge. Yeah, so 2 straight wins. As we said, a lot of heroes. The one that jumps out, of course, is the one who was recognized by the league. Offensive Player of the Week, Billy McCrary, 222 yards. He had another touchdown. He's second in the conference in touchdowns scored when you combine running and receiving. But, Coach, that 222 was part of a 317-yard rushing day. Tracy James was terrific, and a lot of it goes to the offensive line. I don't know that, other than Dwayne Anthony coming in as a tight end, that you played any others on the offensive line, maybe 1 or 2 snaps. But it's also Luke getting everyone into the right positions, too. It's a team effort, isn't it?
Absolutely it is. There's a lot of – we do a lot of RPOs that's based on pre-snap read and when the ball's snapped. And so, a couple of those runs that Billy had, if the defense is doing something else, the ball could have potentially been thrown. And so, it is a total team effort. I think our guys are doing a really good job. I think the thing that we're really proud of is just, I feel like guys are being really unselfish right now. And, you look at whether, Torrin steps on and makes a couple of huge, passes or a couple of huge catches. I mean, he's, he hadn't done anything hardly all year just because he's never really had that opportunity. He's battled some injuries a little bit. So to see us getting guys back to being healthy, for guys making plays, and then for me just to see everybody on the sideline genuinely happy, for those folks is a really good deal. And, I think, Billy's a cool story. Billy's last couple of years hadn't played a lot of football, and it's kind of, I think, been very redeeming for him this year to actually get back out and play and compete. And very proud of him, man, because he ran really, really hard.
Making up for lost time, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
I know you talk about the 111th, so I want to be careful. Acknowledge that before I say this. But 1 year ago this week, you made a change at starting quarterback. And I think the results speak for themselves. Yeah. Luke Anthony, in 10 starts, is averaging 260 yards and 2.5 touchdowns per game. There are a whole bunch of things that even I, calling games, don't see that you see. So as you look at his body of work over 10 starts, and again, he's 111th, but What things most impress you about what he's done as the starting quarterback?
He cares. He cares about ACU. He cares about his teammates. He wants to be here. And that's the thing that has really resonated with me, not just with Luke, with others right now. And, you know, to see our program and the culture facet moving forward and growing. In my experience, when you get a group of guys that care about where they're at, care about their university, they care about the student body, the community, they care about each other, they're usually going to be successful. So I think his care factor is really, really high. I think his preparation is impeccable. Luke's a 4.0 student. You know, I kind of have to look at him sometimes. He looks like he's been up all night, you know, studying, and then he never blinks, and he gets in here and he studies football just as hard. He's really good with that. I think he understands his teammates. I think a good quarterback has to have really good people skills. You know, it's just like life. When you're dealing with 10 other guys on the offense, everybody's personality is a little bit different.
You're mid-level management if you're a quarterback, aren't you?
You got to look. You got to be able to tell when a guy's having a bad mood, or you know, if a guy needs a pick-me-up, or you know, a guy needs, you know, hey man, you need to bring it down a little bit. So I think those are the areas where I've been most proud of him.
We have to talk about this defense because you played 2 straight run-first teams in McNeese and Nichols, and by and large, you handled them pretty well. And then you get a pass-first team, the leading passing offense, and they'd scored 27 on you, but when they needed to score, they couldn't. And it was at the very end where they tacked on a couple of touchdowns. I know they count, but it was after you'd already stretched it out to a 3-score lead. I don't know what else you can say about this defense.
Well, I think they've played really well. You know, we got a lead. We were missing a couple guys that I think could have really impacted that game. I think the defense looks back and a couple things. They felt like towards the end we would have liked to have had a little bit better pass rush and collapse in the pocket, you know, because our D-line had played so well the last 2 weeks as far as getting production and sacks. We had a couple more interceptions that hit right in the hands. And so that's the deal, man, where I keep saying everybody just needs to stop talking about it, because as soon as we stop talking about it, we'll start picking balls off. But, you know, we gave up some chunk yards, but, again, I thought we held very strong down in the red zone.
Forced a couple of field goals that were big.
Absolutely huge. And then, to be really candid with you, I really feel like our inability to place the kick where we needed to really gave Southeast a short porch. And, I mean, I felt bad for our defense. I felt like they were starting all day on the 50-yard line. Yeah. So they've had a good 3 weeks, and we're confident they're 212 is going to be back and be ready to go versus Northwestern.
Last thought, you do have an off week. I say off week. It's not an off week, is it? I mean, no. You and your coaching staff are all over the place, aren't you?
Yeah, so it starts. I'm here with the players along with the graduate assistants and student coaches, and I facilitate practice. We try to pick a couple things that we're going to fix. We're trying to fix our kickoff placement. I challenge the players. I need all of you to pick 3 things in your game that need to be better and improve those this week. We cut practice down by about an hour and 25 minutes to get them in the classroom, more labs, do some catch-up. It's right after midterm. But we still have to work. You have to get the conditioning facet of it, the hand-eye coordination. We'll take off Friday, Saturday, and come back Sunday. As far as the coaching staff, we had Monday meetings with the players Monday night, and then they all hit the road. So I won't bore you, but they're everywhere right now. And so we are, again, for ACU, what we're trying to be so exact on who we're recruiting here from a culture standpoint, academics, to the spiritual fit, that we got to go a lot of places right now. We're littering the state of Texas right now with coaches, but we have coaches looking elsewhere too. And so I'm proud of those guys and their hard work.
2 straight wins for the ACU football team, a bye week, and then next week back at it, home for Northwestern State, on the road at Sam Houston State, and then the season finale, maybe, depending on how things go, against the University of Central Arkansas. For Adam Dorrel, I'm Grant Boone.